Welcome to tonight's sleep story. Let's drift into a soothing story together as you begin your journey into a restful and rejuvenating sleep. As evening settled in, the sky outside dimmed into twilight, casting soft shadows over the small house where Gerda and her grandmother sat by the fire. The flames in the hearth flickered with a soft crackle, their warmth radiating through the room and creating a cozy atmosphere. The scent of burning wood filled the air, mixing with the faint aroma of damp earth from outside after the rain. It was the perfect night for storytelling, one of those still nights when the world outside seemed to pause, allowing the stories of the past to take center stage. Gerda snuggled up closer to her grandmother, her small feet tucked beneath her as she settled into the comfortable armchair. Her grandmother, who had lived through many winters, her face lined with years of wisdom and love, smiled down at her. The firelight danced in her eyes, giving her a soft glow, and her voice, filled with warmth and familiarity, began to weave. "The threads of a story, grandmother," Gerda said with bright eyes. "Please tell me about the past again. I love hearing your stories." The grandmother chuckled softly, her voice rich with affection. "Ah, my dear, you never grow tired of hearing the old stories, do you?" she asked, her hands resting on her lap as she adjusted herself in her chair, settling in for the familiar ritual. "No, I never do," Gerda said eagerly. "I want to know everything about when you were young, when the world was different. You've told me about the old times before, but I always want to hear more." The grandmother nodded and, looking out the window into the fading light, began to speak in a voice that seemed to carry the weight of years gone by. "Well then, my dear, I'll start with the stories of my childhood, the ones that live in my heart and mind even now. The world was a very different place back then, more magical, more filled with wonder, but also harder in many ways." As she spoke, her voice painted vivid pictures in Gerda's mind, the world she had grown up in, filled with adventures, mystery, and imagination. She spoke of long ago days when the village was small, and the air was always fresh, filled with the sounds of nature. She described how the world felt as if it had a heartbeat, alive with stories passed down through generations, stories that shaped the way people lived and thought. Back then, the grandmother continued, her voice a gentle murmur. "We believed in things that now seem strange spirits of the forest, fairies, and even the wind that whispered secrets in the trees. We lived in a world where the lines between the real and the magical were blurry. We were children of nature, and the earth spoke to us in ways that most people today have forgotten." Gerda listened with rapt attention, her mind filling with images of forests full of magic, mysterious creatures, and the whispers of the past. The tales of her grandmother's youth were not just stories. They were windows into another world, a world full of mystery, beauty, and adventure. "Did you really believe in the magic?" Gerda asked, her voice filled with awe and wonder. "Did the trees really talk to you? The grandmother's eyes twinkled with a playful gleam. Ah, child, it's not just about believing, she said, her tone becoming softer. We felt it in our bones and in our hearts. The world was more than just what we could see with our eyes. It was filled with wonders, and we were a part of it all. We were surrounded by magic, the kind that you can't see, but you feel in the quiet of the night or when the wind blows through the trees. Gerda leaned forward, completely captivated. Tell me more, grandmother. What was the most magical thing you ever saw? The grandmother chuckled softly, her voice lowering as she began to speak of a dream she had once had. A dream that blurred the lines between reality and the magical world she had known as a child. Well, one winter evening when the snow was falling softly outside, I went out into the forest to gather firewood. The night was quiet and the air was crisp. But as I walked deeper into the woods, something strange happened. The grandmother's voice softened as she leaned closer to Gerda, her eyes distant as if she were remembering something from long ago. The firelight flickered, casting shadows on the walls, adding a sense of mystery to the moment. Gerda sat on the edge of her chair, her hands folded in her lap, completely absorbed in the stories her grandmother wove. Do you know, my dear, the grandmother began, there was a time when the world seemed to hum with magic, when every tree, every stone, every whisper of the wind carried a story with it. The trees themselves were believed to hold wisdom, and the stars told tales of adventures from times long past. Gerda's eyes widened. Did the trees really speak to you, grandmother? Asterisk, the grandmother smiled softly, her face lighting up with the warmth of her memories. Not in the way you think, child. But if you listened closely, you could feel the forest around you alive, full of secrets waiting to be shared. The rustling of leaves wasn't just the wind. It was as if the forest itself was telling you stories of ancient times, of people and creatures that had walked this earth long before us. Gerda's mind began to wander, imagining a world where trees and winds could speak, where nature itself held the secrets of the world. She had always known the forest to be a beautiful place, but the idea that it could be full of hidden magic thrilled her. I remember one winter, the grandmother continued, when the moon was particularly bright. The whole world seemed covered in snow and everything was quiet. The village was asleep, but I couldn't sleep. I felt drawn outside as if something was calling me. So I wrapped myself in my warmest cloak and set out into the woods. Gerda leaned forward, her heart racing. What happened, grandmother? The grandmother paused, her eyes twinkling. I walked deeper and deeper into the forest, where the trees grew tall and dense. The air was cold, but it didn't matter because the magic of the night filled me with warmth. Suddenly, I heard something, a sound that wasn't the wind or the snow. It was a soft melody, like a song drifting through the trees. The child's eyes grew even wider, and they held their breath, waiting for more. I followed the sound, the grandmother continued, and there, Standing in the middle of the woods was a creature deer, but not like any deer I'd ever seen. Its fur shimmered like moonlight, and its eyes glowed with an inner light. It was like a spirit, a being from a world beyond the ordinary. Gerda's heart skipped a beat. A magical deer, the very thought of it filled her with wonder. The deer looked at me, the grandmother said softly, and without speaking, it nodded as if it were telling me to follow. And so I did. We walked together through the woods, the soft snow crunching beneath our feet, until we reached a clearing. The grandmother's voice dropped to a whisper, and in the clearing I saw something I will never forget, a circle of stones, glowing faintly in the moonlight. The air was filled with an energy I couldn't describe, and I felt as though I had stepped into another world, one where time didn't exist, where the past and future intertwined. Gerda was mesmerized, her eyes locked on her grandmother's face. What happened, grandmother? Did the deer speak to you? The grandmother smiled faintly, as though the memory itself held a sacredness that words could not fully express. No, my dear. The deer didn't speak, but I knew deep within me that it was leading me to a place of deep wisdom, a place where I could feel the very heartbeat of the earth. In that moment, I understood that the world is filled with more than we can see. With our eyes, the magic of life exists all around us, and it's up to us to feel it and listen. Asterisk Gerda felt her heart swell with emotion. The story was more than just a magical tale. It was a lesson, one that planted a seed deep within her. She could feel the mystery in the world, the beauty and the magic, just as her grandmother had described. And as the flames flickered before them, Gerda realized that perhaps the forest, the moon, and the deer weren't just fantasies, they were representations of something far deeper, something connected to the very fabric of life itself. Grandmother, Gerda said softly, her voice filled with wonder, do you think that magic still exists? That the world is still full of secrets waiting to be discovered? The grandmother's eyes shone with a gentle, knowing light. Oh, my dear, the world will always be full of secrets, hidden whispers of the wind. In the stillness of the night, in the quiet moments when we pause and listen. But it's up to each of us to find them. As the grandmother's words lingered in the air, Gerda found herself lost in thought. The idea of the magical forest and the spirits it housed seemed to seep into her very bones, filling her with a sense of wonder she had never known before. She felt as though the forest had been waiting for her, as though it had always been there, just beyond the reach of her imagination, and that now, in her grandmother's tales, she could finally grasp it. The fire flickered, casting a soft glow across the room, and for a moment, the world outside the window felt distant. The sound of the wind had died down, and the silence between them became a sacred space for contemplation. The child's thoughts drifted deeper into the forest, imagining what it would have been like to walk among the trees, to listen to the soft rustling of the leaves as they whispered secrets that only the brave could hear. Gerda looked at her grandmother, her mind racing with questions. "Grandmother, do you think we can still hear the voices of the forest?" she asked, her voice soft and filled with wonder. "Do you think the magic is still there, even though so much has changed?" The grandmother, who had been gazing into the fire with a faraway look, turned her attention back to Gerda. Her eyes were full of warmth and something deeper, an understanding that only came with time. She smiled gently, as though she had been waiting for this question all along. "Dear," she said, her voice calm and steady, "magic is not something that is easily seen. It's not a thing you can touch or hold in your hand. It's not about tricks or illusions. The magic of the world is the quiet moments, the moments when you pause, when you listen, when you become one with the earth beneath your feet. Forests may not speak in the way we imagine, but its wisdom is always there, waiting for us to hear it." Gerda leaned forward, captivated by her grandmother's words. She wanted to understand, wanted to know more about this magic that lived in the world, just beneath the surface. "So, the forest still speaks?" she asked, almost afraid to ask but desperate for the answer. The grandmother nodded, her gaze soft but intense. "The forest speaks to those who are willing to listen. It speaks in the whispers of the wind, the rustle of the leaves, and the stillness of the night. The magic of the world is in everything around us, in the earth, the sky, and the water. It is in the quiet moments when you stop to listen, to breathe, to feel." The air in the room felt heavy with meaning as the grandmother's words sank in. Gerda could feel a shift inside her, a sense of peace and reverence for the world around her. The forest, with its mystical trees and whispering winds, wasn't just a place for stories. It was a living, breathing part of the world, a place where wisdom and truth could be found, but only if one knew how to listen. "Sometimes, child," the grandmother continued, her voice softening, "we forget that the world around us is a reflection of what's inside of us. We get lost in the noise and the rush of our daily lives, and we stop hearing the quiet call of the earth. But if you listen, truly listen, you will find that the world is always speaking to you." Gerda closed her eyes, feeling the weight of the grandmother's words settle deep inside her. She could almost feel the breeze on her skin, hear the whispers of the trees, and see the soft glow of the forest in her mind's eye. The magical world her grandmother spoke of wasn't far away. It was here, in the very air she breathed, in the very earth beneath her feet. All she had to do was open her heart and listen. "Grandmother," Gerda said softly, her voice filled with awe, "do you think I can hear it too? Can I feel the magic of the world?" The grandmother's eyes twinkled with a knowing smile. Of course, my dear, the magic is already within you. It always has been. The forest isn't just a place outside, it's a place inside you. It's your connection to everything around you. The magic you seek isn't something you have to chase. It's something you already have, waiting for you to recognize it." Gerda sat back in her chair, her thoughts swirling with the grandmother's words. The world felt different now, as though a veil had been lifted, and she could see the beauty and wonder that existed all around her. The trees, the sky, the whispers of the wind, they were all part of something much bigger than she had ever imagined. And in that moment, Gerda understood. The magic of the world was not found in grand gestures or dramatic transformations. It was in the small things, in the subtle shifts, in the quiet moments when we listen and open ourselves to the world around us. The fire crackled softly, and the room felt warmer than before, filled with the comfort of the grandmother's wisdom and the understanding that the world, magical, mysterious, and full of life, was always just there, waiting to be heard. As the grandmother's words echoed in Gerda's mind, she felt a profound shift within herself. The night, the firelight, and the sound of the grandmother's voice all seemed to fade into the background, leaving her with a sense of quiet clarity. She could almost hear the whispers of the forest, the soft rustling of the leaves, the distant murmur of the wind. It was as though, in that moment, she had stepped into the world her grandmother had described, a world not defined by sight, but by feeling. Gerda sat in silence for a long while, her thoughts swirling like the gentle breeze that moved through the trees. The world outside seemed to stretch out in front of her, filled with possibilities waiting to be explored. It wasn't just the forest that had become magical. It was the very air, the earth, the sky. Every leaf, every stone, every shadow now felt like part of something bigger than herself. It was as though the forest was no longer just a place on the map. It was alive, and it was calling her. Her grandmother watched her with gentle eyes, understanding the depth of the change in her granddaughter. She knew that Gerda's journey was not one of mere travel or discovery. It was a journey of the soul, a journey into the depths of understanding, both of the world and of herself. The stories, the lessons were not just entertainment. They were tools to awaken the magic that had always been present. Remember, my dear, the grandmother said softly, breaking the silence, the magic of the world is not something you can hold in your hands. It's not something you can chase. It's something you feel in the quiet moments, in the pauses between the noise of life. It's the stillness that speaks louder than any word, the whisper that is louder than any shout. Gerda's heart stirred as she listened, her eyes glistening with the understanding that had begun to grow within her. The magic her grandmother spoke of was not bound by time or place. It was always present in the world around her, waiting to be seen, to be felt. And now, Gerda knew that the key to unlocking it was not in seeking, but in being. The grandmother leaned forward, her voice now a soft whisper. The forest, my dear, is a reflection of the world within you. It mirrors your thoughts, your feelings, your desires. If you approach it with peace, it will show you the peace within yourself. If you approach it with fear, it will show you the fear within your heart. The world is what we make of it. Gerda nodded slowly, her eyes reflecting a deep understanding. She had always known the world was full of mysteries, but now she understood that the most important mystery was the one within herself. The forest, the world, the fire, they were all symbols of a deeper truth, a truth that connected everything. The mountain, the trees, the whispers, they were not separate from her. They were part of her, part of the invisible thread that connected all life. The magic is not something that happens. The grandmother continued, her voice steady and calm. It is something that is, and you, my dear, are part of it. You are part of the magic that lives in the trees and the stars and the wind that brushes your cheek. You are part of the mystery. Gerda closed her eyes, feeling the peace the grandmother spoke of wash over her. The stories, the wisdom, the forest, it all made sense now. The world she had always seen as separate from herself was woven into her very being. The forest wasn't just outside her window. It was inside her heart, and every time she took a breath, she was a part of it. For the first time, Gerda realized that she didn't need to search for the magic outside of herself. The magic wasn't somewhere far away, hidden in the shadows of the mountain or in the depths of the forest. It was in the silence and the stillness, in the quiet moments when she could hear her own heartbeat, when she could listen to the world around her and feel its heartbeat in return. The fire crackled. Again, its light casting dancing shadows on the walls, and Gerda sat in peaceful contemplation. She could feel the wisdom of the forest, the whispers of the wind, and the stillness of the night all around her, like a soft embrace. The world was no longer something to be feared, something to be overcome. It was something to be embraced, something to belong to, asterisk as the night stretched on. Gerda sat quietly, feeling the warmth of her grandmother's love and wisdom, feeling the magic of the world settle into her soul. She had learned the most important lesson of all, that the journey was not about finding magic, but about recognizing it in the world around her and within herself. The night stretched on, and the room grew still, filled only with the rhythmic crackling of the fire, the warmth of the hearth, the soft glow of the flames, and the gentle hum of the wind outside seemed to converge into a peaceful harmony. World beyond the walls of the little house had fallen into a soft, quiet slumber, but within, Gerda's mind was alive with the wonder of everything she had learned as the grandmother's voice faded into the background. Gerda felt the deep sense of understanding settle into her heart. She now understood what her grandmother had meant when she spoke of magic and connection. It wasn't something out there, waiting to be discovered. It was something already within her, a quiet force that pulsed through every moment, every breath. Grandmother sat in silence, her eyes watching Gerda with a knowing smile, as though she could feel the shift in her granddaughter's heart. The night had unfolded like a delicate story, and now, in the stillness of the room, the lesson was complete. The magic of the world was not just in the distant lands or forgotten forests. It was in every step, in every moment, in every breath they took. It was the quiet beauty of the world that passed unnoticed, and it was the deep connection they shared, not only with each other, but with everything around them. Grandmother, Gerda whispered, her voice full of newfound understanding. I feel it now, the magic. It's all around us, in the air, in the wind, in the trees, and everything. The grandmother smiled softly and nodded. Yes, child, it always has been. We only need to listen to feel. Magic isn't something you find, it's something you recognize. It's always there, waiting for you to see it, to understand it. Gerda sat still for a moment, letting her grandmother's words wash over her. The weight of it all settled gently in her chest, like a soft, comforting hug. The magic wasn't in grand gestures or spectacular visions. It was in the everyday, in the small moments that often went unnoticed. She could feel it in the air, in the whispers of the wind, in the way the firelight danced on the walls, in the way the shadows moved. It was everywhere. As the night wore on, Gerda felt her body relax into the chair, the warmth of the fire wrapping her in a cocoon of comfort. She closed her eyes for a moment, and as she did, her mind wandered to the imaginary landscapes her grandmother had painted with her words. In her mind, she could see the trees swaying in the breeze, hear the quiet rustling of their leaves, and feel the magic of the world in the space between the trees. Is it true, grandmother? Gerda asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Is it true that the forest holds the answers? That if you listen closely enough, you can hear the secrets it holds? The grandmother's eyes softened, and her voice, too, became a whisper. The forest doesn't just hold the answers, my dear. It holds the questions, too. It holds everything. The answers are within you, just as much as they are in the trees, the wind, the stars. Everything you seek is already within you. The air seemed to grow heavier, filled with the weight of her grandmother's words. Gerda felt her heart swell with something she couldn't quite name. It was peace, perhaps, or understanding, or maybe it was a deep sense of connection to something far greater than herself. She realized that the forest she had always seen from a distance as a magical and mysterious place was not so far away after all. It was right there, within her, waiting for her to acknowledge it. Magic wasn't a force to chase, it was a feeling to recognize, to embrace, to live with. Her grandmother reached over, gently placing a hand on Gerda's. The warmth of her touch, combined with the comforting firelight, seemed to anchor Gerda in the moment, grounding her to the present, while still connecting her to the infinite possibilities of the world. It was as though the story they had shared wasn't just about the forest or the magical creatures. It was about life itself, about understanding that the world, in all its vastness, was within her reach. Gerda opened her eyes, looking out the window at the stillness of the night. The moon hung low in the sky, its pale light spilling over the landscape, casting long, soft shadows across the fields. The trees, swaying gently in the wind, seemed to whisper, their voices carried by the breeze. "Grandmother," Gerda whispered again, her voice full of wonder. "I think I understand now. The magic isn't just in the forest. It's in the way we see the world, the way we choose to listen to it, to feel it." The grandmother smiled warmly, her eyes filled with pride and love. "Yes, dear. The magic is in you, in how you see the world, in how you choose to feel it, and how you listen. And it is always there, waiting for you to embrace it." As the night deepened, the shadows in the room grew longer, but Gerda felt no fear, only a deep calm and an ever-expanding understanding of the world around her. The fire continued to burn softly, casting its warm glow across the room, yet the most profound warmth she felt came from within. The magical world her grandmother had spoken of wasn't some distant, unreachable place. It was here, in the stillness of the moment, in the whispers of the wind, and in the silent exchange between them. Her mind wandered back to the stories of the past, to the images of the forest, the spirits, and the ancient tales the grandmother had told. The world felt like a living entity, one that moved in harmony, where every sound, every movement had its place in a grand interwoven design. And Gerda, for the first time, truly understood her place within it. "Grandmother," Gerda spoke. Softly, her voice full of wonder, "you said that the forest speaks and that the magic is in everything. How can we know what it is we're meant to hear? How can we know that we're listening the right way?" The grandmother smiled gently, her face illuminated by the flickering firelight. "Ah, my dear, it's not so much about listening for a specific answer. Magic doesn't always come with clear words. Sometimes it's in the feeling of the moment, in the quiet pauses between the noise of life, in the moments when you can just be, when you can be still and let everything flow through you." Gerda absorbed these words, feeling as though they were opening something deep within her. She closed her eyes for a moment, allowing the words to sink in. The fire crackled softly, and the occasional sound of the wind outside seemed to echo. The grandmother's message, there was no rush, no expectation to understand it all at once. Magic was not something that could be understood through force or effort. It was something to be felt. Asterisk. "Do you hear it, grandmother?" Gerda asked after a long silence. "Do you still hear the magic in the world even now?" The grandmother's gaze softened and she nodded slowly, her eyes glistening with the wisdom of the years. "Yes, child," she whispered. "I hear it in the rustle of the leaves, in the heartbeat of the earth, in the quiet moments when I stop to listen. But I also hear it in you. Magic isn't just in the world around us, it's in our hearts, in our connections, in the love we share with one another." Gerda looked at her grandmother, feeling the weight of the deep truth in her words. She had been searching for the magic outside of herself, but now she understood it had always been within her. It was not something to chase, something to find. It was something to feel, something to acknowledge. The world was full of magic, but it was also full of moments where the heart could feel connected to the universe around it. The child's thoughts shifted, and she found herself thinking about the world outside the walls of their little home. The world that seemed so vast, so full of wonders waiting to be discovered. What would it be like, she wondered, to walk through the forest with the knowledge that it was not just a place filled with trees and animals, but a living, breathing world full of its own secrets and stories? It is all so clear now, grandmother, Gerda said softly. I see it now. The magic is everywhere, like the forest, like the wind, like the stars in the sky. It's all part of a great circle, a rhythm that ties us all together. The grandmother nodded again, her face glowing in the firelight. Yes, my dear, you have learned well. The world is not separate from us. We are a part of it. And as long as we remember that, as long as we stay connected to the earth, to each other, and to the stories we carry, the magic will always be with us. Gerda smiled, feeling a sense of peace she had never known before. The wisdom of the past had been passed down to her not just through words, but through the deep bond between her and her grandmother. She realized now that the magic she had been seeking was not something to be found in distant places. It was a way of being, a way of living in harmony with the world around her. The fire crackled one last time before it began to die down, the embers glowing faintly. The night was quiet, the air still, and Gerda felt as though the world had unfolded before her, like a soft dream she had always known but had never fully understood until now. The firelight dimmed, but the warmth of her grandmother's wisdom, of the stories shared, and of the world's magic stayed with her. I will remember this, grandmother, Gerda said, her voice full of gratitude. I will remember the magic in everything. And as the night wore on, and the world outside settled into silence, Gerda felt at peace. The world was full of magic, not in distant lands, but here in the stillness, in the moments between breaths, in the way the world moved, softly, gently, like a story being told. A story that had no end dot. The room was quiet now, save for the gentle crackling of the fire and the soft breath of the night air slipping through the small gaps in the window. Outside, the world was still, as if waiting for the final words of the night to settle. Gerda felt a deep sense of peace, her heart wrapped in the soft warmth of her grandmother's words. Everything felt still, but in that stillness, there was so much life, a life of understanding, of connection, of the magic that thrummed beneath the surface of everyday things. Her grandmother sat back in her chair, eyes closed, her face bathed in the soft firelight. The years of wisdom she had accumulated seemed to glow softly, like the embers that flickered in the hearth. There was no rush in the room, no urgency. The world felt slow, yet full. Every moment containing more than it seemed. The magical world Gerda had once longed to understand was now at last becoming clear. The forests, the winds, the magic, It was all part of the same story, and the story was always waiting for her to listen. For a long time, neither of them spoke. There was no need to. The silence was rich with meaning. Gerda knew deep down that this was one of those moments she would carry with her for the rest of her life. The understanding that everything is connected, that magic lives in the ordinary. The soft rustling of the trees outside, the crackling of the fire in the hearth, the deep, rhythmic breaths of her grandmother, they were all parts of the same song. She could feel it now, the understanding and the peace, after what felt like an eternity. Gerda finally spoke, her voice a whisper in the quiet room. Grandmother, do you think that even when we can't see it, the magic is still there? Do you think that when we're not looking, it's still working its way through the world? The grandmother's smile was gentle, her eyes still closed. As she nodded, "Oh, my dear, it is always there. The magic is in the small things, in the way the wind dances with the leaves, in the way the flowers bloom, in the way the sunrise touches the earth with its golden light. It doesn't need to be seen to be real. You don't need to be looking for it all the time. It's just there, waiting for you to notice." Gerda's heart swelled with a deep, quiet understanding. The world didn't need to be searched for. It's magic. It was right in front of her, in every breath, in every fluttering leaf, and every whisper of the wind. She realized that the connection she had been seeking was not something that could be chased. It was always there, in the quiet moments, in the stillness between breaths. The grandmother continued, her voice soft and steady. The world is full of stories, and the most powerful stories are the ones that are not told. They are the ones you feel, the ones you experience. Magic isn't just in what we see, it's in what we feel with our hearts. Gerda nodded slowly, her heart full of gratitude and peace. She had been searching for something elusive, something beyond reach. But now she understood. The magic she sought wasn't in distant lands or forgotten places. It wasn't something to be found. It was something to be felt. It was in the world around her, and the people she loved, in the moments she lived. Her mind wandered back to the forest, the place that had always seemed so full of mystery. But now, the forest didn't feel so far away. She realized that it wasn't the physical place that had held the magic. It was the feeling the forest evoked, the sense of connection to something greater, something beyond the everyday world. The forest wasn't something she had to find. It was something that had always been there in her heart. "Grandmother," Gerda said softly, "I think I understand now. Magic is not something we need to find. It's something that's always been a part of us in everything we experience. It's in the way we love, in the way we live, in the way we listen to the world." The grandmother opened her eyes and her smile deepened, her face soft and proud. "Yes, dear, you've learned well. The world is full of magic, and it's not in the things we seek, but in the way we embrace the world with open hearts. The magic is in the stillness, in the quiet, in the moments when we feel connected to everything around us. Gerda smiled, feeling a deep, quiet peace settle into her chest. The fire crackled, its warmth filling the room, but it was the warmth in her heart that lingered the longest. She understood now. The journey she had been on was not one of discovering something distant or unattainable. It was a journey of understanding that the magic had always been with her. It was in the stories her grandmother told, in the memories they shared, and in the world they lived in together. The night wore on, the world outside still, and in that moment, Gerda knew that the magic she had been searching for had already found her. She didn't need to look for it anymore. It was already inside her, in every breath, and every heartbeat, and every moment she lived out as the night deepened. Gerda sat in silence, feeling as though a veil had been lifted from her heart. The grandmother's wisdom had planted a seed within her, and now she could feel it growing, unfolding with each passing moment. The world, once vast and full of unanswered questions, now seemed smaller, more intimate, and brimming with magic at every turn. Every whisper of the wind, every fluttering leaf, every murmur of the river felt like an invitation to connect, to listen, to experience the world with awareness. The firelight dimmed slightly as the hours passed, casting longer shadows across the room. Yet the light in Gerda's heart felt brighter than ever before. She could feel the connection to everything, the earth beneath her feet, the sky above her, and the family bond that had always existed between her and her grandmother. The world no longer felt like a place to conquer, to figure out, or to rush through. It felt like a world to be felt, to be embraced, to be present in. Asterisk, grandmother, Gerda whispered, her voice quiet but steady. I think I understand now. The magic ... it's in everything, isn't it? It's not just in the forest, or the stars, or the creatures we read about. It's in me too, and in all of us. The grandmother nodded, her smile soft and knowing. She had known from the very first time she told Gerda her stories that one day Gerda would come to understand that magic wasn't a far-off fantasy, but a way of being, a way of living fully in the world. Yes, my dear, the grandmother said. The magic is in you, in the way you connect the world, in the way you choose to see it, to feel it. It's in the way you love, the way you listen, the way you embrace each moment. Gerda sat back in her chair, taking a deep breath, feeling the magic of the night all around her. It wasn't just the world that had changed, it was her. She no longer felt like an observer, someone standing on the outside, waiting for the world to reveal its secrets. She felt like a part of it, all connected, grounded and alive with the energy of the universe. It was as if her grandmother's words had unlocked something inside her, something that had always been there but had been hidden beneath layers of doubt and uncertainty. The world outside remained still, but inside The house was alive with the vibration of understanding, the hum of shared wisdom. The fire crackled softly, and Gerda felt her body relax into the comfort of the warmth, the quiet, the peace. Her grandmother sitting beside her was more than just a storyteller. She was a guide, a teacher, a link to a tradition of knowledge that stretched back for generations. I will carry this with me. Grandmother, Gerda said softly, her eyes meeting her grandmother's. I will carry the magic of the world inside me, and I will remember to listen, to feel, to be present. The grandmother's smile deepened, her eyes full of love and pride. And that, my dear, is the greatest magic of all. To live in harmony with the world around you, to understand that you are part of it, and to listen to the whispers of life that are always speaking, always guiding. As Gerda closed her eyes, she felt a deep sense of peace settle within her. The magic of the world wasn't something to chase. It was something to be. She could feel it in the softness of the night, in the quiet of the room, in the stillness of her own heart. The universe wasn't distant or detached, it was alive within her, and in the people she loved, and in the world she walked through every day. Asterisk. In that moment, Gerda knew she had taken the first step on her journey, not to discover something outside of herself, but to remember the truth that had always been with her. The world's magic, the magic of life, was within her, and it was everywhere, waiting to be embraced. The fire burned lower, its light flickering gently as the night deepened. The world outside was still, but inside, the warmth of the fire, the presence of her grandmother, and the quiet understanding of life's magic filled the room and Gerda's heart. And in that deep silence, she knew the magic was always there. The night outside had deepened further, the stars twinkling brightly against the clear sky. But inside, the world felt slower, gentle and alive with the quiet pulse of magic that Gerda had come to know. The fire in the hearth now glowed softly, its embers fading, but the warmth that had spread through the room lingered, wrapping itself around Gerda like a soft, comforting blanket. She sat back in her chair, her body relaxed, her mind clear. The world felt like it had shifted into something new, something both familiar and vast, like she was seeing it for the first time with fresh eyes. Her grandmother's words echoed in her mind like a song she had always known but never truly heard until now. The magic of the world wasn't in faraway places or distant lands. It was in the everyday and the moments she often overlooked, in the quiet spaces between breaths, in the shared glances of family, in the soft whispers of nature that called to her. Grandmother, Gerda said, her voice softer now, almost. A whisper, as if speaking aloud, might shatter the quiet, sacred peace they had found. Do you think that everyone can feel the magic of the world like I do now? The grandmother's smile deepened, her face glowing in the firelight, her eyes reflecting the warmth of a lifetime of wisdom. She gazed at Gerda for a long moment, her eyes filled with affection and understanding. She could see the transformation in her granddaughter, the way her eyes had opened, the way she carried herself differently now. The grandmother had always known that the magic of life would be a lesson for Gerda to discover on her own. But now, watching her, she knew that Gerda had finally stepped into the world with the knowledge that she belonged. "Ah, my dear," the grandmother replied, her voice gentle but steady. "Not everyone sees the magic the way you do now. Some are too caught up in the noise and the rush of life. But that doesn't mean it's not there. The magic is in everything. It's in that smallest moments, in the quiet of the night and the softness of the wind. It's in the love we share, the connections we make, and the quiet ways we listen to the world." Gerda nodded slowly, absorbing her grandmother's words. She understood now that it wasn't about searching for something that was out of reach, something that could be found only in distant places. The magic wasn't in the future or the past. It was in the present. It was in her, in the way she chose to live, in the way she chose to see the world. And if someone can't see it, can't feel it like I do? Gerda asked softly, her heart heavy with empathy for the world outside her home. The grandmother's smile softened, and she reached over to take Gerda's hand in her own, her grip warm and steady. "That's the thing about magic, child. It's always there. The world doesn't stop being magical just because some can't see it. It doesn't stop being beautiful or alive. But as you go through life, you'll meet people who are still searching for it, just as you were. And when they're ready, when their hearts are open enough, they will see it too." Gerda squeezed her grandmother's hand, her own heart swelling with understanding. She now saw the world with different eyes that could see not just the beauty of the trees, the whispers of the wind, or the glow of the stars, but the magical connections that held everything together, the deep interconnectedness that made life so rich. The fire in the hearth crackled, and for a moment Gerda simply sat there, feeling the warmth of both the fire and the love that surrounded her. She felt an immense gratitude for this moment, for the wisdom she had gained, and for the gentle teachings of her grandmother. In her heart, she knew that magic was no longer something she had to search for. It was something she was living. With each passing breath, with each passing moment, the magic is in me and all of us, Gerda whispered, as if confirming it to herself. "I just have to listen, feel it, be open to it." The grandmother nodded, her face full of pride. "Yes, my dear, you've learned what so many forget. The magic of life is not in what we find, but in how we live it, and how we embrace every moment. It's in the way you choose to see the world." The fire began to burn low, its embers now glowing faintly, casting a soft, warm glow around the room. Gerda closed her eyes for a moment, feeling the peace of the night settle deeper into her soul. The world outside, though dark, felt close, felt alive in a way she had never known before. She wasn't just part of the world, she was one with it, connected to everything in it, woven into its rhythms and whispers dot in that stillness. She understood that her journey was just beginning. The magic was not something that came with grand gestures or fantastical creatures. It was in the quiet and the way the world whispered to her when she stopped to listen. When she allowed herself to be still and present, Gerda sat there feeling the warmth of the fire, the peace of the night, and the understanding that she had found not just the magic of the world, but the magic within herself. She smiled, knowing that this was a new chapter 1 of connection, wonder, and a life filled with the quiet magic of every moment dot as the firelight dimmed and the house grew quieter. Gerda's heart swelled with a calm sense of understanding. The soft night air, now cool and crisp, seeped in through the open window, bringing with it the faint scent of earth and pine trees. The world outside, though dark, no longer felt distant or unknown. Gerda felt as if the veil that once separated her from the vastness of the world had been lifted, revealing a world full of magic, life, and connection. The moments of stillness and quiet that had filled the evening were not simply a temporary respite. They had become something more, an invitation to live fully, to embrace the magic within every breath, every step, every heartbeat. The connection she felt with the world wasn't just a fleeting realization. It was a lasting shift in how she would live from that moment on. Gerda rose from her seat, her legs feeling light beneath her as if the weight of the world had been lifted. She walked over to the window, looking out at the starry sky that stretched infinitely above her, each star a reminder that the universe was far greater than what she could see. Yet she felt a sense of peace, knowing that she was an integral part of that grand design. The world wasn't something she had to chase or conquer. It was something to be experienced, to be embraced, and to be understood in the quiet, magical moments of daily life. Her grandmother's voice, soft and filled with wisdom, called to her from the hearth. The world is full of stories, Gerda, but the most beautiful stories are the ones we live, not the ones we tell. It's not the grand gestures, the extraordinary moments that make life magical. It's the small things, the soft breeze in the morning, the first light of dawn, the rustle of leaves in the evening. It's in the way you smile at someone, the way you pause to listen, the way you give yourself over to the moment. Gerda nodded, feeling her heart expand with the deep truth of her grandmother's words. The world outside her window was full of magic, not in grand, fantastical events, but in the ordinary, in the way the world continued to turn quietly, steadily, and gracefully. She realized now that the real journey was not one that took her away from this place. It was a journey that brought her closer to the heart of everything, a journey of living fully, listening deeply, and embracing each moment with the awareness of the magic that existed in it. I understand now, grandmother, Gerda said softly, turning back to face her. The magic has always been here. It's in the moments we pause to truly see and feel. It's not something we need to find, it's something we need to recognize. The grandmother smiled, her face glowing with quiet pride. Yes, my dear, you've always known the magic. It's in the way you live, the way you connect, and the way you feel the world around you. It's in the simplicity of every moment and in the presence you bring to it. Gerda's heart fluttered with a newfound sense of freedom. She understood now that the magic wasn't something far away, something unattainable. It wasn't an idea or a fantasy, it was the very essence of life itself. Magic was not a distant dream, but an everyday reality, waiting to be felt in the stillness and silence of the world. She stepped away from the window, her mind and heart full of the quiet knowledge that she would never again look at the world the same way. Every leaf, every breeze, every conversation, everything would carry with it the potential for magic. As long as she was open to it, as long as she was willing to listen and be present. Her journey had just begun, not because she had to go searching for answers, but because she had found the answers within herself. Asterisk Gerda returned to her seat by the fire, the warmth of the flames still wrapping around her, and settled back with a deep, contented sigh. She could feel the magic within her, like a soft hum that resonated through her being. She closed her eyes, her body relaxing, and for the first time in a long while, she allowed herself to simply be. The magic of the world was with her, and it had always been. The fire burned lower, its embers glowing softly as the room grew quieter. The night was still, but Gerda felt alive, connected to everything around her, knowing that she was part of the great story of the world. She had discovered the truth. The magic was always there in the world and the people she loved and in her own heart. All she had to do was be present, and the magic would always be with her. As the fire flickered and the soft embers glowed gently in the hearth, Gerda felt the weight of the world lift from her shoulders. The warmth of the room, the steady rhythm of the fire, and the comforting silence wrapped around her like a protective cocoon. It wasn't just the physical warmth that she felt, it was the warmth of understanding, the peace that came with the realization that the journey she had been on was not about searching for something distant or unattainable. It was about embracing the present moment, about living in harmony with the world she was already a part of. Gerda looked out the window again, the soft glow of the moon now casting a silvery light over the land. The quiet stillness of the night stretched out before her, and for the first time she didn't feel small or insignificant in the vastness of the world. She felt connected, part of the rhythm of the earth, part of the flow of life. She had discovered that magic wasn't something reserved for fairy tales or faraway lands. It was in the quiet moments of life, in the way she felt connected to the earth, to the people around her, and to the very breath of the world. Her grandmother's words echoed softly in her mind. The magic is in you, in the way you live, in the way you love, in the way you embrace every moment. It's always been there. You just need to see it, feel it, and live it. Gerda smiled, the weight of the truth settling deep within her heart. She knew now that she didn't need to chase after the magic. It was already here, in the world around her, in the stillness of the night, in the whispers of the wind, and the heartbeat of the earth. She was part of it as much as the trees were, part of the forest as much as the stars were part of the sky. The world was a tapestry woven together with threads of magic, and she was one of those threads, vibrant and full of life. The night deepened further, but Gerda didn't feel alone. She felt the presence of the universe, of the ancient stories that had been passed down through generations. She felt connected to the forest, to the stars, to the wind, and to her grandmother. She felt a deep gratitude for the wisdom that had been shared with her, and she knew that it was now her turn to carry that wisdom forward. She was no longer a passive observer of the world. She was an active participant in the great dance of life. Gerda turned back to her grandmother, who was now peacefully resting in her chair, her face serene, her hands folded gently in her lap. The old woman had given her more than just stories. She had given her the gift of understanding, the gift of awareness. Gerda knew that the greatest magic of all was not in the things that could be touched or seen, but in the way the world was, felt the way it was experienced in the quiet moments of everyday life. Gerda stood up from her chair, feeling lighter than she ever had before. She stepped softly to the window once again, looking out into the dark expanse of the night. The world seemed to stretch on forever, full of infinite possibilities. And yet, in that moment, Gerda realized that the most beautiful part of it all was that she didn't need to search for those possibilities. They were already here, waiting to be experienced, to be felt. "I'm ready," Gerda whispered too. The night, "I'm ready to live in magic." The moon hung above her, casting a soft, silvery glow over the world, and for the first time, Gerda felt truly at home. The fire still burned behind her, and her grandmother's presence, though silent now, lingered in the room. The world was a place of magic, and Gerda had learned how to embrace it, not by seeking, but by simply being. The journey she had been on was not one of discovery, but of recognition, of seeing the magic that had always been within her, always been in the world. She turned away from the window, feeling the peace of the night settling into her bones, and knew that this was only the beginning. The magic of the world was not something distant, it was part of her, part of the world, and she would carry it with her always. With that thought in her heart, Gerda settled back into her chair by the fire, the warmth of the flames now soft. Presence beside her, she closed her eyes, taking a deep breath, feeling the rhythm of her heart as it aligned with the rhythm of the earth. The fire crackled softly, the night deepened around her, and in the stillness, Gerda knew that she was part of something much greater than herself, something magical, something infinite, and there, in the quiet of the night, Gerda drifted into a peaceful sleep, knowing that she had found her place in the world, that she had found the magic not in faraway lands, but in the present moment, and the connection to the earth, the stars, and the whispers of the wind. Fires glow at soft now, the embers quietly pulsing in the hearth as if breathing with the night. Outside, the world had become a place of gentle shadows. The moon now high and silver in the sky, casting its serene light over the landscape. The breeze had stilled, leaving only the faintest whisper in the air, as if the world itself was breathing, quietly letting everything settle into peace. Gerda sat by the fire, her thoughts slowing, her heart full of a quiet understanding. The magic her grandmother had spoken of no longer felt like a mystery to be solved, but a gentle truth to be lived. It was not something to chase, but something to experience, something to embrace in every moment, no matter how small. The ordinary world, once full of questions and doubts, now felt full of answers, full of wonder. The trees outside, the whispers of the wind, even the stillness of the room were all alive with the magic that Gerda had once sought so desperately. She closed her eyes for a moment, feeling the warmth of the fire surround her, the peace of the world settling around her like a soft, protective blanket. She could feel the connection between herself and everything, between the earth beneath her feet, the sky above her, the stars that seemed to twinkle like old friends. The world was no longer something she had to understand or figure out. It was something she could live in, fully and completely, with all the magic it had to offer. I am part of this, Gerda whispered softly, almost to herself. I am part of the world's rhythm, part of its magic. Her words seemed to echo in the stillness of the room, as though the universe itself had heard her and was now listening. She smiled, the weight of her grandmother's wisdom settling deeply within her. Gerda understood now that the magic she had been searching for, the answers she had been seeking, were not somewhere out of reach. They were right here in her heart, in every moment, in every connection to the world around. Her magic was not a faraway thing. It was a presence within everything, waiting to be felt, to be experienced. The grandmother's voice came to her softly, as though from a distance, yet Gerda felt it as clearly as if she were still sitting beside. Her voice, the guiding thread that had led Gerda here. The magic, the grandmother's voice echoed in her mind, is not in the world you see. It is in the way you live, the way you feel, the way you listen. It's not in distant places, in grand stories or fantastical creatures. It is in you, in the way you connect with the world, with the people around you, with the earth beneath your feet. You are part of the magic, Gerda, always have been. Gerda opened her eyes again, her gaze drifting from the window to the fire, feeling that magic more than ever before. It wasn't just something she had found in the stories her grandmother had told. It was something she had found within herself, something that had always been there, waiting to be acknowledged. She felt the deep gratitude, not just for her grandmother, but for the world itself, for the chance to be present in it, to experience its quiet wonders, to feel the magic that had always been present in the simplest of moments. With a quiet smile, Gerda stood up and walked slowly to the window. The moon's light bathed the land in a soft, silvery glow, casting gentle shadows over the fields. The air, though cool, felt fresh and alive, and Gerda could almost hear the whispers of the earth, the rustling of the trees, the sound of the world moving in harmony. The magic of the world was not something she needed to seek anymore. It was already here in her heart, in the stillness of the night, in the quiet rhythms of life. She was not a stranger to the world. She was part of it, connected to it by threads of magic, woven into the fabric of every moment. For the first time, Gerda felt the depth of the connection she had always been searching for. It wasn't in the grand gestures of life, but in the quiet, unnoticed moments. The flutter of leaves in the wind, the distant howl of the wolves, the subtle crackling of the fire. The world was full of magic, and she had always been a part of it. The journey had never been about discovering something new. It had been about remembering what she had always known. Deep inside, she closed her eyes, took a deep breath, and let the world in. The night was calm, the fire was warm, and in that stillness, Gerda felt the whispers of the universe surrounding her. She was home,